Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lawn Care CEO podcast. My name is Dan Ralphs. I'm the head coach here at the Lawn Care CEO, fellow head coach. I don't know, both head coaches. Miranda, day na 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 day na 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 day na.
Yeah, now I know.
Yeah, I got it. I missed it on the last one, but now I've got
It's
it.
getting better and better.
That's so dumb. We're very much a singing family in the Ralphs home. Like our kids are constantly singing, to the point where we had to make a rule that there was like no singing at the dinner table. Like,
Wow.
that's how bad it is. We're like, hey guys, you can't.
More than one song at the same time, or do they like all just
Yeah.
always come together? Is it like living in a musical kind of?
I'm hearing Brian Regan's voice in my head that goes, "Can't you see that the silence in our home is more important than the joy in your heart?" Right? Like that's kind of the voice that gets in that I'm sharing with people, where it's like, no, you have to be quiet. Because my wife is always like, a singing child is a happy child, and I'm like, well, if they could be just happy somewhere else, like
It's like silently happy.
grouchy.
But now here you are sharing it with our listeners.
Da-na-na-na.
I just said there's a song. Yeah.
It's a good song. Mm-hmm. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Lawn Care CEO podcast. Today we have a really cool. I have an idea for a topic. We'll see how it pans out. That I think is really interesting and important, and for many of you is going to not feel as important as it is. I don't know how to put this kindly, but there's going to be a lot of you that like dismiss this idea, sort of like my teenagers dismiss my advice when I give it to them, where it's like, hey, listen, teenager, you need to learn how to answer a telephone call. And they kind of are like, cute dad, but you don't get it. So I'm afraid we might get a similar response to this one, but let me try to set it up so that you can kind of buy into this idea that we're of where we're coming from and our experience, and at least be open to this idea of maybe a new way of approaching your business. So Miranda and I both have a similar background, where we both grew up in a school. It's not necessarily a school, but in a company called the Elite Entrepreneurship Framework. And the Elite Entrepreneurs was born out of a company called Infusionsoft, later to be known as Keep. And basically what happened was we had the software we were selling to small business owners like yourselves. And we were selling an all-in-one sales and marketing software similar to like Service Autopilot or Real Green or whatever. But it was general. So we were selling it to everybody. And basically our CEO, Clayton Bask, was approached by a bunch of entrepreneurs within that community who said, Clay, we love your software sometimes. Nobody likes sales and marketing software all the time, but we like your software sometimes. But what we're really curious about is we're actually really, really curious about how you lead your company, like what you're doing that creates this an awesome environment, awesome culture, etc. And so Clayton said, let me teach that.
Yeah, and let me interject for a second. If you can go back to those moments at what was then Infusionsoft, and I've met Clayton, I've interacted with him a few times. I've been at what is now Keep. I get it. And for the users of Infusionsoft at the time that were curious about this process, like, what do you think it is that they saw that initially got them to see that there was something kind of special going on there with the team? Like, how did they know?
Well, one, there were like very public, obvious things, like we were on the Inc. 500, 5,000 list. We were on the Great Places to Work list.
Sure.
We were top 20 in the country for small to medium-sized businesses to work for. Like, there were some very obvious public things. And then I think they also, like, if they ever interacted with our team, there was also a cultural vibe that just kind of spilled off the team. They're like, so what you're saying is you're on the two lists that every entrepreneur, I think, wants to be on. They want to be on that We're Growing Fast list. Not every entrepreneur, but many entrepreneurs, ambitious entrepreneurs want to be on the We're Growing Fast list.
Yep.
While simultaneously being on the People Are Super Happy to Work Here list. And so it was those two things, right? And somehow Clay had crafted this like ability to lead a company that way. And so they raise their hand. They say, hey, Clay, will you show us how? And it was like, at the time, I was a brand new employee there. This is, in 2011, I think. 2011, I was a brand new employee there. And it was a cool vibe. Like I'll share a little story. So I remember it was when we showed up to the company, the goal for that year was 26 million in revenue. They were kind of gearing up to they'd raised a little bit of capital, but not a lot. And they were gearing up to raise capital. And so 26 million was a big thing. In fact, we had t-shirts, there were green t-shirts with, like, said believe on them. And on the back, it said 26 million. And leaders were standing on chairs like, all right, let's go, guys. We're going to hit 26 million. And it was like just kind of this general energy of like young software startup. And it was like contagious. So even when I showed up, there was just like this great culture, great energy. Well, it came like to the point where Clayton was like, listen, if we hit our 26 million, everyone's going to get extra Christmas bonus, which wasn't a lot. It was like $250, but we're all going to get extra money. We're like the whole thing. And on December 3rd, I still remember the date, December 3rd, 2011, Clayton Mask gets up in front of the company and he says, hey guys, I want to let you know. And Clay is just generally this optimistic believer, hard driver, but always like upbeat. Things are great. How's it going, Clay? Great. Everything's great. Everything like always positive, always optimistic, kind of like way of seeing the world.
Yeah.
And he had to show up at that meeting and not be positive and optimistic because he said, listen, we're not going to hit 26 million no matter what we do. It's not going to happen. Even if we hit all of our goals, even if we exceeded our goals, we're just not going to quite make it.
Oof.
And the whole meeting just like gut punched. We looked up in the rafters. One of our core values is we do what we say we'll do. And we're like, I guess we're not doing this one. And it was really sad. And I was a brand new employee, like 3 or 4 months in the company. And I watched as a group of kind of more tenured, seasoned employees stood up and walked up to Clay after the meeting. And because I'm nosy, I went and followed him and I'm listening to Clay. I'm listening to them to ask this question, Clay, how much are we short? Like,
wow.
What are we short?
Yeah.
Because they had this core value, which was we do what we say we'll do. And Clay was like, honestly, it's probably around 350,000 short of our $26 million goal. Even if we hit all our December goals. So it was like within
so close,
reach,
right? Yeah.
Reach.
Yeah.
And so this little group that gathered, including myself, said, well, can we try? And Clay said, well, listen, in order for this to work, and because we were doing our books on accrual, not cash, he said, you would have to not only sell all that work, but you'd have to fulfill all of that extra work within the month of December. So we couldn't even
you gotta like get
delay
people to pay ahead
it.
or like something in the future. Yep.
We had to, because we're on accrual accounting, we had to like fulfill the work. It had to be books closed. And so they go, all right, well, we're going to try. And so they got together, a group of them. Tyler Garnes, by the way, who you know is in the group.
Yeah, that's great.
And there's a group of us that gathered together and we sat in a little conference room. And again, I am rookie. I was just a school teacher 6 months earlier. But I'm sitting in the room with this cool group and they were like, all right, guys, we're going to try it out. And long story short, we ended up selling a $10,000 2-day on-site fulfillment thing where we're going to razzle and dazzle you.
Yep.
We literally poured all of the perks but we needed to sell like 30 of these things.
Yeah.
And we sold it. Literally remember the podcast, the webinar that we shared. Anyway, long story short, 26 million, $5,000, close of books. And what was fascinating about that is that Clay had created this company.
Yeah.
Like that was so far removed from the days where Clay was the one buying cereal and calling creditors and selling all the products. He'd built a company. He'd built something living, breathing, independent of himself that would go do things independent of himself.
Yeah.
And so, so again, people came and said, hey, Clay, how do we build that? How do we do that?
Totally.
And he built.
And this story that you're sharing, a big part of it is about culture, but it's also about think about the Clay's journey from when he started as a solopreneur or a really small team, right? I think it was like a couple or a few of them at first, if I remember.
Yeah, he was like the third person in the group. So it was a brother, and brother-in-law who is Clay.
That's right.
Who joined.
Okay, so it's like there's 3 of them who start this thing. That guy versus the guy who has now created such a business, and not only the business, but like all of the people that interact with it now have like a reputation so much bigger than himself and are going to solve problems in this much bigger business in ways that he wasn't up for in the moment, right? Like they saw something, that group of team members saw something, some way to hit that goal even beyond what Clayt could see at the moment, right? So it's like it got bigger than himself in such a way. But think about the transformation of Clayt over that time, right?
Yes.
Like that doesn't happen like on accident.
To be fair, Clay is the model CEO that we're trying to help everyone become. He's outstanding, a really outstanding CEO.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I think, so he built this program called Elite Entrepreneurs, which Miranda and I are both certified experts in. And so they created a program essentially to teach this leadership, this way of leading. And it was $1 million to 10 million in revenue was the journey. Clayt would later say the $1 million to 10 million was the hardest part of the journey from, I think when he said he was 150 million or something. He said 1 million to 10 was the hardest. Greg Crabtree echoed that. He said the $1 million to 3 million, he calls it the black hole of business.
Yep. That's right.
It's like there's this super challenging phase of business that is $1 million to 10 million. And so he created this little program called Elite Entrepreneurs to teach the skill set of how do you go from $1 million technician to a $10 million CEO.
And I would argue that part of the reasons why that's the black hole and that's the hardest phase of business growth is because of the transformation that has to happen internally for the business owner. Like that's got to be one of the biggest reasons why that's such a slog. It's like you've got to shift. You have to shift the way you're doing business, the way you think about business, the way you think about people. You have to let go of a lot of old habits that served you well before but aren't going to now. It's like there's this big transformation that has to happen for the leader there.
Oh, 1,000%. And it's almost like I would argue now there's some like financial realities of during that phase where it's like I need the $120,000 marketing director, but I can only afford a $20,000 marketing director. And so I have to like, duct tape and baling wire my way through a lot of like things. It puts a lot of pressure on the team itself. There's usually a restructuring of product lines and other things that happen during that phase. And all of that is fair, but I do think the number one thing by far is that owner founder has to go through a metamorphosis, like a transformation as an owner founder in order to make it to the next level. Right?
Yeah.
Like
yes,
they have to.
For sure.
They have to. And so it was so cool is that Miranda and I got front row seats to watching $1 million to $10 million CEOs over and over and over again, to the point where when I was starting, we would do like 4 groups of 10 every year. And so it was like 40, 80, 120, where we just see CEO after CEO after CEO. And you would watch some that would figure it out and they would make it. Yeah. And you would watch others that wouldn't figure it out and wouldn't make the transformation that they needed to make. But it was predictable. And there's probably 2 parts to it, if I'm being fair. The first part of it was learning the skills of the CEO. So we talk a lot about this, like set the vision, build the team, don't run out of money. And there's like systems and structures and meeting rhythms that are connected to running as a successful CEO the work. And then the other half, Miranda, and maybe there's a third thing that you can think about, but the other half is the mindsets and the way that leader transforms, like you were describing.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a third? So it's like system and mindset that both have to change and evolve at the same time, which is tough to do.
That's right. What's nice about the system is if you go through the motions sometimes that helps you really like understand the mindset and really take it to heart. But if you just do the systems and you fight the other side of it, you're not going to get your business where you need it to be, right? Like you have to do both sides of that coin.
I have actually a funny story about that. So one day I was invited to coach. I was coaching an attorney.
Okay.
And so it was in, I won't say the attorney's office because it's not a very positive story for them, but it was somewhere in the Midwest. I'll just say that. It was somewhere in the Midwest. I'm coaching this attorney.
Okay.
And we're doing this big vision setting meeting, and he's got everyone on his staff in the room. We're talking about purpose. We're talking about vision. We're talking about core values, and we're like building out the core values for this team.
Yeah.
And the storyline was, the reason I got invited in is because one of the key team members was kind of saying, hey, Dan, we got to get our culture right. And I know you're really good at culture. Can you come in and walk us through this? And so I was walking them through the structure and system of how to set up a business that would be ready to scale from $1 million to 10 million. I was putting all those pieces in place.
Yep.
Well, we were on break between our conversation about purpose and our conversation about values. Mm-hmm. And they were probably like that $1 million, $2 million phase, and they wanted to go to 10. And we're on break. And we're about to go to the core values conversation. And in the back of the room, you hear the owner
just going to be bad,
screaming at one of his employees, like just completely dressing him down, like treating him like the red-headed stepchild. It was just nasty.
Oh.
And I'm standing kind of in the front of the room, and the group is kind of looking up at me, and they just kind of, and one of the people in the very front row just goes, see what we have to deal with here? Do you see what the real problem is here?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, pretty clear. So here there was a cool opportunity for us to insert the system or the structure.
Right.
But we had a CEO that was still so stuck in old limiting mindsets that weren't allowing him to move forward.
Yes, great example.
And so regardless of how good or if we implement systems or you take on systems, whether you're using the elite methodology like we teach or something else, it doesn't do you any good unless you transition your mindset as a leader. And so much of the work that we do, especially with $1 million, $10 million CEOs, is we're working on those mindsets. And so today I thought it would be cool for us to talk about the difference between the $1 million technician, the $1 million entrepreneur, the $1 million, whatever we want to call them. Technician's probably a good word in this industry. And the $10 million CEO, the one who is leading their company powerfully and meaningfully, and what the difference is between those two leaders when it comes to their mindset, when it comes to the way that they, in their day-to-day operations, the way they show up and think about the problems that they face. Because I think it's different. Yeah. I think it's like dramatically different. And so much so that I don't think that what got them to $1 million has a prayer in getting them to 10 million. Like they have to transform.
For sure. And we're talking about humans here, and not every person is exactly the same, but there are some overarching patterns, I'll say, right? Like there are diagnosable signs that you see in a business owner when they haven't yet made that transformation, right? I mean, I think when you have seen it at play over and over again, and now with lots of lawn care businesses, but even many industries that both you and I have worked in before, you just see it over and over again. And like, I don't know if you ever do this, but
I think about, the times where like the business owners all feeling embarrassed. They're like, I know I need to delegate better or whatever it is. And we kind of go, yep, that's exactly what we would expect to see at your stage. And part of the reason that is that there's a certain set of mindsets, that certain mindset that $1 million business demands you have to get to where you're going. So like mindsets like a high level of execution and getting things done. You're never going to get to $1 million if you're not good at taking on problems and solving them quickly and moving on to the next one. You just never will get there.
For sure.
You're never going to get there if you don't learn how to sell. Like if you don't show up and you don't know how to close a sale, you will never get to $1 million. If you don't know how to like have a pretty good idea of what you want to get done in a year or a month and have some goals in the back of your mind that you're driving toward, if you're not a little competitive, like there's a lot of things that are required to get to $1 million. The trouble is, and the reason I think, again, black hole is because most of those mindsets are deterrents in your ability to grow a $10 million company.
That's it. And it's not even like, because, I've had this conversation with business owners time and time again, and it just doesn't work to tell somebody, hey, you need to stop solving all the problems in your business. Right. Like there's no way that's gonna land. Right. Like, okay, Miranda,
great.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Blinky, yeah. What should I do now? Right. It's like, it just doesn't work. And it really is like understanding that the mindset that got you to $1 million or close to it, right? The mindset that got you there. Thank you so much, right? For being those things and for sticking it through, like the grit and tenacity. I admire it so much in like all of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with. I think it's amazing. And it's not that you have to let go of grit and tenacity, but you just have to come at it in a different way. Now you have to get really strategic. You have to get, you just have to think bigger, right? It's like you need to stay after things, but you need to think about it outside of the scope of you and your brain and what you personally can handle in whatever amount of time.
So let's play the game. The game is this. And by the way, like if you're listening to this in the comments or chats or whatever, or email us if you have better ideas than we do, because I do think that there are patterns here, and we'll play the game of like, what's the pattern? What's the $1 million version? And then what's the $10 million version of kind of mindsets as an owner? And I think it's important to point out, like you said, it's not that we're necessarily abandoning the $1 million mindset, but we're evolving and maturing a little bit beyond that $1 million mindset to a more evolved, more enlightened maybe way of thinking about business that's required to get to 10 million.
Okay. Can I go? Can I do one first?
You have one already?
Yeah, I got one already.
Because we talked about it beforehand.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So for me, this is the shift from thinking that sales in general, just top line sales will solve everything. We just need more sales, more money versus
sell your way out of problems.
Selling your way out of problems, right? Versus profit solves everything. Right? It's like not just more money in, not just making the machine of the business bigger and bigger and messier and like just, get people to say yes to me, but instead actually understanding how the numbers shake out to the bottom line and knowing that that's ultimately more important than just being able to say, you have a certain size business or making a deal. Right? There's like a certain rush of making deals too that I think is a little bit hard to let go of, especially bigger deals, right?
I hear this phrase all the time. It's like, oh, that'd be a huge deal for us.
Right.
It'd be like, oh man, Dan, do you hear that? $300,000. Like this project, this contract would be a $300,000 contract. And what they're saying is the top line is $300,000.
That's
well.
Right.
You're right. Like the $10 million CEO does not see a $300,000 top line. I mean, they're maybe intrigued by it, but they want to know so I don't care about $300,000 top line. Tell me what the bottom line is. And if you say it's $100,000 bottom line, then you go, well, adelante, let's go do it. Right. But if it's a $10 bottom line, but they recognize that it could be a $10 bottom line. So there's just a little bit increase of financial maturity that says, hey, listen, I know that the answer to my problems is not more sales. And sometimes more sales, more money equals more problems, right?
I think you want to say mo money, mo problems. Yeah,
mo money, mo problems. Like,
yeah.
We need to be more urban.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair. Like it is more money, more money. I can't even say it. More money, more problems. But in some cases it is more money, more problems. And the mature business owner, the one who makes that transition, has a level of financial skill and improvement that increases. It's the reason why we started a bookkeeping company, because to be honest, too many of the, and it's not just $1 million CEOs, but even $2 million, $3 million CEOs, it was like, dude, you don't get your numbers well enough to know the bottom line. And that's probably one of the reasons why young entrepreneurs don't really do the math, is because it's hard to track the math.
Yeah.
Like if you're not managing clean books, if you don't have clean financial data, it's hard to know. The only number you're for sure of is the top line number.
For sure. And I would say too, like if you like the number of times that I had a business owner in front of me saying, "Hey, I got this exciting opportunity, Miranda."
Yeah,
right? Like,
totally.
wait till you hear about this thing in front of me, right? And it sounds amazing at first. And I'm always like, just curious, right? Like I'm not trying to shoot anybody down, but like, okay, tell me more, right? But it seems like that mindset of like, just more things coming in. Miranda, what do you think? I got this thing. And in my head as a coach, I'm like, well, if I don't yet understand their numbers and they're bringing an opportunity to me, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, man. We got to dig in, and I got to understand what happens after we initially take that money in. And when you are a really small business, you just kind of don't really have that data. And when you are smaller, I'm also going to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more willing to say yes to a deal that might not be perfect in terms of profitability. When you're a little bit smaller, I'm going to give you a little bit more room there, because you do need like something to generate some momentum in the business itself, right?
Yeah, honestly, when I talked to, I remember talking to a business owner who called me up. He's like, "Dan, we're just getting started. It's my wife and I, and we're trying to figure this out. We want to do this full time. And I have I have my mower and I have my trailer and I have just the basics that I need to get going." And early on, for that guy, sales does solve everything. I'm like, dude, go sell.
Say yes.
Go
we'll figure
sell.
it out. Yep.
Yeah. Go find whatever project will pay the bills and get you going. Now, even that guy, and this is probably where this whole conversation relates to that guy. It's like, yes, you need to learn to sell, and you need to learn to say yes to projects, and you need to not be picky or snooty. I was talking to someone else, a friend of mine who had a very, very niched product. And I'm like, I don't know if that, like, he's like, I don't want to do
niched.
X. I don't want to do project X because I'm like, it's like, no, dude, early on, you got to say yes to everything for a little while.
Yeah, you're not there.
Well,
you
and
can't
that's
say
just
no
it.
yet.
Like, and then you get to a point where it's like, stop saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
So literally full green light to full like yellow light, in that transition from 1 million to 10 million. So I agree. Mindset number one is sales sells everything to profit sells everything. And in order to transition from $1 million technician to $10 million CEO, you have to become financially sound. And for whoever you are that says, I'm not a math guy, or whatever you want to say, then give up the job of CEO and give it to someone else, because you can't get there. This job of the CEO, the job of the person, whoever's in charge, the chief executor of that business, it is required that they now and forever, they can never delegate the financial understanding of the business and the financial ownership.
Yeah, let me add one more thing before you move on to the next one. And that is, even if you're not the guy who's like, I'm not the math guy, I'm not the numbers guy, but if you're the guy who's like, I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty good when it comes to profitability. Yeah, you too, right? Like, if quite often business owners that I work with think they pretty much understand where the numbers are going, but you don't always really. You really don't, unless you have your books are clean and they are consistently giving you enough information to powerfully make decisions. That's how you know you really understand what's happening. Your hunch or your feel based on like your mental math or some numbers you jot down on a notebook is not clear enough. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is a moment in CEOs that I coach who are on this journey, and this finally clicks for them. They become data junkies. They literally are like more data, more data, more data, because they now see that for them, the way that they operate is they operate from a mindset of understanding the numbers, and it really just becomes a math equation.
Totally.
Where it's like, I know cost of acquisition is this. I know how much I can get a client for. I know how much the lifetime value of the client is. I know therefore how much the profit is. I know the percentage of, like, they just know all those numbers, and it gives them tremendous comfort, tremendous confidence. It allows them to take bigger risks. It allows them to, not so much risks. It allows them to invest more in the business.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Because they understand that really, if they can do the math, they understand the bottom line. Now they can really go. And that's really fun. Okay. So number one, not sales, top line, everything, but bottom line. My probably number one on this list, I don't know if it's my number one, but one of mine on the list is there's a transition that happens where early on, business owners are firefighters, problem solvers. And their instinct is when a problem comes up, they attack it with tenacity. And they just are like, bring it on. Customer problem solved. Employee problem solved. And they're just problem solvers. And the domino of problems line up and they just knock them down. And you have to do that to get to 1 million.
Yeah.
And the little transition that shifts when they get to this kind of $10 million mindset is whenever there's a problem, the underlying question always is, where did the system break down?
Love that.
Where did the system break down? I had one of my general managers that I coach. She said, solve the problem, then fix the system. So it's not that you don't solve the problem. It's that you understand and see problems in the context of the underlying system that it's connected to. So if you have a client that calls and says, hey, somebody was supposed to come to do my yard today, but they didn't, the $1 million CEO goes, awesome, I'll send someone out.
Yep, I'll handle it.
The $10 million CEO says, awesome, I'll send someone out. And what broke? Like,
That's
what
right.
broke? Where's my system and the underlying structure of our business broken? And the truth is that those tiny little problems, that client calling in because they didn't get serviced, how do I put it? The energy, the emotion connected to that problem actually gets really small. It's kind of like, all right, whatever, I don't care. But I really care that something maybe broke down in our structure, in our system, and I need to go, and I'm going to make that a very big problem. Yeah. Rather than having a complaining client being a big issue for you, it's like, that's not an issue unless there's a system issue, and then the system issue becomes really big. Is that going to make sense?
It does make sense. I think there's also often a mindset of, deal with the system later, right? It's like, too many other little fires in front of me in this moment. I got to keep putting all of those out, the holes in the wooden boat, right? It's like, I got to go back. I'm regretting bringing us back to that instantly already. I'm sorry, everyone.
Resurfacing it.
If you listen to the last one, it's terrible. But, right, like that, it's that, there's a bigger problem, but I can't. I don't have time, right? Like whatever other, insert whatever else. Like I'll get to that after. The $10 million CEO understands the thing they need to figure out, the thing they need to focus on is the system, not just the putting out of the fires. Yeah. Do you see what I'm getting at here?
Yeah, and candidly, it's hard to find time to do that, but the important step here is this mindset. We're really talking about mindset rather than practice. Mindset says, whenever anything happens, I go, where did the system break down? Like, or maybe we haven't designed a system yet, or we don't have the right person in place, but I'm thinking of it through that lens first.
Yeah.
And we got to solve this individual problem, but that's is very much secondary to this broader problem of that I don't have a system that would naturally solve those problems every time forever.
Yeah. So
it's always saying, how do I fix this forever rather than how do I fix this one time?
Yeah. And it's really like having awareness around or visibility in the systems in your business and how they play out. Understanding that, I always use this phrase, I don't know why when I started doing this, but like understanding that the machine of the business is producing certain results because of what you're putting into that thing, right? And like that's at play. It's not because Mrs. Jones is extra persnickety. Maybe she is, right? But it's also like what this machine that I've created, it is affecting certain outcomes, and it's about having awareness that that's at play.
Your business is perfectly designed to get the results it's getting.
I love that phrase. It's great.
That's a Brett Gilliland quote. Your business is perfectly designed to get the results it's getting. And so if you don't like the results, then you got to change the design. And that's the spirit of this kind of second mindset.
So good. That kind of segues into what I think should also be on the list. If I can bring us to the next one. Are you ready for the next one? Yes. So I think it's also a shift, right? This sort of like segues to the $1 million business owner that thinks, how do I solve this issue in my business, right? Not just put out fires, but like, how do I solve this issue versus the $10 million CEO who thinks, who can solve this issue? And there are full-on books written about this idea, right? Yeah. Like who, not how.
Is that right? Dan Sullivan's book?
I don't know who wrote that one.
Sullivan? I'm going to search it up.
Yeah, but that's it, sure. Right? And that's one of many examples. Dan Sullivan. So who, not how, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of thinking you have to be the systems operator for everything in your business, it's the shift to like who can help us figure this out, right? Who's the right person to put in that place or to help me do that thing? And do you know what I've seen? So there are, I don't know, a handful of examples that come to mind quickly for business owners I know who do that really well. And when you do that really well, it spills over into all of the other mindset shifts you need to make. So I might argue that like this is my top
this could
one,
be the number
honestly.
One. It's quite possible.
It might be for me because the business owners that I know that are really good at like, I don't understand marketing, so I got to get the right person in place and they're going to figure it out for our business. And then in turn, I'm going to learn it alongside them. Like not afraid to hire people that they think are vastly smarter than them. Not afraid to say, I don't understand how to do that. I need help. Like that one thing, I think, spills over into so much in a business. So I might even argue it's most.
Yeah, I experienced this recently with a client of ours who I adore. But they had this moment where they were just grinding. They're in this kind of $1 million mindset and everything fell on them. Sales, marketing, production management. It was just chronic CEO fatigue galore. Mm-hmm. And they got their first couple of leaders in their spots and it was like a revelation. He's like, oh, I get what my job is now.
Yeah.
My job has nothing to do with grass. It has everything to do with building leaders who manage grass and take care of grass. That's it. That's my whole job. And it's sort of true. Like there was who is the leader? It was the GE executive. I'll forget his name, but he was the one to ask. It was the CEO of GE. He was like once asked, what percentage of your time is spent in leadership development?
Yeah.
And his answer was, he's like, probably 75% of my time.
Yeah.
Like, so consider that. If you were like, what would it look like if 75% of your time as a leader was spent developing people? Well, you might think he had all of this like leadership development stuff on his calendar. They went to look at his calendar and it was all just the normal CEO stuff. It was like board meetings and boring stuff. Well, they said, well, what's up? Your calendar doesn't match what you told us. And he said, no. Every one of those activities at that board meeting, I've invited one of our VPs to present. And at this time that I'm meeting with that person, we're talking about. So the transition that happens is like every issue that you needs to be solved, just solve it with someone. Solve it from a standpoint of, hey, how can I help show someone else how to solve it? I had another one of my leaders who's really transitioning well into this mindset. There's some big, what happened? They had like a accident that just like totaled one of their trucks.
Okay.
Which again, such a pain, totally inconvenient. Now he's got to go figure out a truck, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, how did that go? He said, well, at least I got to use it as an opportunity to teach one of my other leaders how to manage and handle that. And that's kind of the way I thought about it. It's like, this is my chance to help them learn how you go about solving that problem. Wow. And I was like, yes, that's the difference. That's the $10 million CEO is the one who goes, hey, that problem is just an opportunity for me to train someone on something that they haven't had a chance to learn from.
Great. Great way to think about it.
Super mature, right?
That is super mature. I also see this come up a bit with business owners that are like, I can't afford to pay people to like just come along with me to do estimates, for example. I need them to be producing. And I understand that there's a certain amount of business needs that need to be met, right? There's production that needs to be done or work that needs to be done. I get that that's true. And the $10 million CEO understands that what they need to be investing in is the development of their people, right? Like they know that that's a smart, not only a smart investment, but necessary to get the business where they need it to be versus I can't afford, well, the business can't afford that. Does that make sense?
I had one leader who really got it and they were like, our only goal is developing leaders. And I was like, wow. It was like their written goal for their 3-year mission was like develop leaders, develop leaders, develop leaders, which might be going even for my taste a little extreme, but they caught the spirit of it, which was, hey, if I develop people who know how to solve problems, hire people, build teams, get results, set vision in their own right in their own divisions, it's great. And I've watched that happen to leaders along the way where it's like one leader the other day said, man, I feel like our mowing division leader he just runs his own little company. I was like, that's the best, right? Where he's in charge of it, solves all the problems. He's like, my only complaint is he probably doesn't tell me what's going on enough, right? It's like, what? That's so fantastic, right? It's the best possible compliment you could give one of your leaders is that they just have it all handled. And that's really the difference is that in your mind, you go, if I can find leaders and I can put them in the proper places, that all of a sudden now we have a chance to scale. Now we have a chance to grow.
That's right. That's right. And there's something bubbling beneath the surface of that one too, because I can hear some business owners that we work with saying, I can't find people like that. Right? Like, but I'm like, those people don't come to me. Those people don't exist. I can't find them. They're not in my area, whatever. Right? And there's a mindset shift there too, where you are part of that system that's bringing people into your business in a certain way, right? Like that itself is the system that probably needs some work. We
talked about it a little bit at the beginning, and so there's two parts to this, right? One of the Google, there was a Google leader that in some book said that recruiting was his number one responsibility as an executive. It was like finding more talent. Which is sort of true, right? So first of all, your brain always has to be turned on and have kind of a mentality of like, we're always hiring great people and I'm going to constantly be on the hunt searching for great people, whether or not they're in our industry. The good news is about 66% of employees, according to some research, are unhappy at work, which means that 66% of the adult humans you meet aren't happy. So like offer them a job where they would be happy.
It's terrible.
So number one is recruiting, right? And then number two is there is something about the charisma, the polish, the confidence, the swagger of the $10 million CEO. And when you hear swagger, don't hear ego, right? Because there's a difference between swagger and ego. It's like they just have a way of communicating that's effective. They've read some books that the other people haven't. They've studied and learned and kind of turned into a pretty cool human. And when I think about the CEOs who I coach who are at the $5, $6, $7 million range, right? They're all have a little something that makes them attractive to high level leaders. And so, if you're a young leader that's part of this journey we got to be on, is we have to evolve ourselves into a human that's worthy of following. And it's probably one of the hardest things of all of this, right? When I think about my job to like try to lead someone like Miranda, for example, it's like I have to really work hard to be a cool human enough to have someone like Miranda want to follow in my leadership, or, you know, whatever version of that is. It's like, and then Miranda is going to have someday be such a cool human that we can hire best coaches in the world and then want to follow Miranda. It's like, we all have that challenge as leaders to gain the charisma and the energy and the swagger and the confidence and the kindness and the empathy and all of those good characteristics that we talk about when we talk about leadership, to become followable.
The other word that, said, don't get stuck on swagger, but also, and I feel like maybe my Midwest accent comes out with swagger. It should be like swagger. I don't know. Swagger.
Swagger.
Yeah. But also the word charisma, right? Like you can be charismatic and not necessarily be like boisterous or like big or loud.
Extroverted.
Extroverted, right? Like those two things don't have to go together. You can be charismatic. People can be excited to be a part of what you are creating and what you're building without you having to be like rah-rah from the stage guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually
we've certainly seen all types, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I would also argue, like, good. If you're not that guy or gal, great. There are plenty of people in the world that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, that want to have a leader that they're excited to follow, that don't resonate with the rah-rah from the stage guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's all kinds of people who are going to be the right fit for that too. So
that's probably its own conversation, because it's a real factor. Like, I don't want to pretend like it's not, but the idea is we have to be able to attract leaders into our organization, and the bigger the talent, the more capable and talented the people we can attract. Like, the bigger our talent, the bigger our capacity to encourage and attract talent, the better people we get in the building, and the easier this whole thing gets. And, the other day I was talking about our little company, and I was like, the only way I can see us growing big is if I can find more people like Miranda or Jennifer, who's our CFO bookkeeper. Like, if we can attract these kinds of people, then we can grow to the moon. And that's sort of the way that these new leaders start to think about it. It's really has very little to do with the work, has everything to do with the people that they can gather around them to go execute on the work.
Love it.
And that's a very different mindset. It's a very different way of thinking about business. Yeah. So it's much more about people and systems than it is about problems and issues.
That's right.
Or problems or customer challenges. It's like, no. It's about systems, and it's about people.
It's great. It's really good. All right. What's next?
What's next on our list? I won't spend a lot of time on this one, but there is something about, young entrepreneurs are oftentimes very quick to make decisions. And they have a little bit of they sort of have this idea of what needs to happen. They have like a vision of what they want and what they want it to look like. And it changes periodically, and it's a little bit of a loose format. And there's a lot of, shoot first, aim second kind of energy that comes up with young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just go.
Yeah. My brother says,
by the way,
my brother says ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I think it's great.
There's a little ready, fire, aim for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost don't want to get rid of that energy, because there's something really magical about it. What's his name? Mark Rober, the YouTube guy.
Yeah.
Mark Grober, maybe. Anyway, but he's like this famous YouTuber, one of the top YouTubers in the world. And he said, he called it naive.
Wasn't it?
Oh,
wasn't it?
It had a name.
Creative anarchy or something?
It was a little like creative anarchy, but there was another phrase that he used. Darn it. I didn't know I was going to share this.
That's
Mark
okay.
Rober.
But and this the spirit of it is, well, you look that up if I remember
Yeah.
right. The spirit of it is something about like not being afraid to like chase after something, right? Like the
Yeah. He
opposite
called
of
it
yeah. Go ahead.
naive creativity, which
Naive
was,
creativity. Okay.
it's like you're not maybe even thinking through all the possible problems and consequences of what could come, and you're willing to just go chase something. Which, by the way, I totally love this idea of naive creativity. But, but, the as you mature and grow, and you have this little family of employees and other leaders who are talented around you, that energy needs to be transitioned into groupthink planning
Yeah.
from individual. I have a plan in my head and I'm going to go figure it out and shoot from the hip as we go. Like, you just mature enough to where you have to get this done. It's very similar to the moment that if any of you've had kids before and you become like a responsible adult, it's like, okay, I can't just go to Vegas for the weekend
For
because I
sure.
feel like it. Right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no,
Yep.
no, no, no. Like, we have to like take transition from I have a plan in my head that works for me to I have a plan on paper that works for everyone. And because at some stage we need multiple decision makers, multiple problem solvers, multiple leaders, all working independently in their own spheres, solving problems, but all in harmony.
It's great. That's exactly the way I was going to talk about it, where it's like when you get the right team in place, you can still have that ready fire aim mentality, that you can still have that within you, but when you have the right team in place, they're your buffer, right? And that doesn't mean they always say no to everything, by the way, right? You should probably have a couple that are willing to go there with you, and you probably have a couple that are a little more like, hey, wait a second, let's slow
Mm-hmm.
down, right? Like ideally, but your team gets to be your buffer there a little bit, where now you can't get everybody rallied to go pursue something when they're already focused on something else, right? That they bring you a space and they give you a little bit of a like bumpers, I guess is not quite the
Yeah.
right word, but like to slow down for a second and say, hey, is this still in the right direction? Does anybody want to pull the cord on the bus here? Right? Like
Yep.
they help you assess those things a little bit better.
Yeah, and again, assuming that we've gathered a little bit of talent around ourselves, Clay, even who founded a lot of these ideas, he used to say, I used to show up to quarterly planning, annual planning, and think it was my chance to convince everyone of my ideas.
Oh, it's great.
And
Yeah.
he said, over time, I learned that I needed to really come to the table with a mindset of collaboration and figuring it out together. And that is, we see this happen over and over again, because when we show up to businesses and we sit down for a 2-day annual planning, we tell them to invite their leadership team. For some leaders, that's the first time they've really even involved their leadership team in a real strategic conversation about where we should go, what we should do, how we should build it, how we should organize it.
Yeah.
And what inevitably happens is those leaders all of a sudden become more strategic because we've invited them to be more strategic. And they start thinking and considering and questioning, where should we go? What should we do? And so the great leaders, the ones who transition to that $10 million number, get it. They go, this is no longer my ideas against the world. It's our ideas against the world. And I'm going to be a way better leader in the collective of ideas than just me, my individual ideas. Now, some of those leaders are going, but if you knew the people around me, you'd know they weren't that smart. And there's probably moments where you should be the parent and say, no, we're heading this direction.
Sure.
But the target, the goal, the objective, and the requirement of a $10 million CEO is, it's no longer me being the smartest person in the room.
That's right. And what helps a business owner know when it's the moment to, I don't know, maybe hand things over more to your team, I think, like a guiding light in that conversation, for lack of a better way to say it, is like clarity of vision. if you are really clear on your vision and where you want to go and what that looks like, and you feel really solid in that, you can use that as the goalpost of, are they getting it? Are they moving us towards that thing? Or is that, a deterrent from what we're trying to do here? Do you think that's true? Do you think that's a way to think about it?
Yeah. I do think that, and like, there's just something about, and this is kind of like that, maybe it's a final point, but there's like, before it was just about getting a bunch done. And it is a clear shift towards strategic thinking when you get to the $10 million number. So one is like an understanding of like, hey, the whole goal is to find the right people. The goal is then to surround myself with those right people and bring them into the strategic conversation and kind of create a shared vision of the future. And then the final piece is that shared vision of the future is strategically sound, is really smart. And before it worked, and you probably can get to 1 million just with grit and duct tape and baling wire, and you can just gut it out. But you're not getting to 10 million with just toughness and grit and I'll work more hours than you. Like, it does require a up-leveled strategic way of thinking about things. As one leader said, it's not just about getting it done, it's about getting the right thing done. It's about getting it done and getting it right.
Yeah.
And early on, we spend maybe a lot more time in the mindset of getting it done. And then the companies that evolve are the ones who spend not similar amounts of time, but a proportionate amount of time figuring out what's the right thing for us to be focused on. I keep saying over and over again to my CEOs, it's not a matter like CEOs don't fail, companies don't fail out of lack of effort. Some do, but the ones who make to 1 million, it's not lack of effort anymore. It's a lack of focus. It's a lack of strategic clarity that's getting in the way.
It's great. It's really good. I feel like we should give them like a quick sort of review of the mindsets that we talked about here. What do you think?
I think I need to add one more piece.
Okay.
And I don't know really how to say this. This was not on our notes here, but the more I've thought about it, the more that it kind of dawned on me that one big transition that happens in this journey has been a transition from make my business better to make myself better.
It's great.
Like, and there's lots of examples of this that I've seen over and over again. I'll give you a handful. Like, I've seen people who are making this transition, they give up vices. So they give up drinking, eating, soda, things that are kind of vice-ish in the way that they approach their lives.
Sure.
I've seen people work on their marriages where they're like, hey, listen, in order for me to get to where I need to go, I realize I need to get my life in order. Like, I can't be a scoundrel and be a $10 million CEO. And even though there's this little myth in our minds that somehow we can pull off the, like at least when I was growing up, the myth was, it was like the Wolf of Wall Street myth. It's like, you can be a total scumbag and be rich.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's really hard to pull that off. It's much easier actually to be a solid human being that actually lives a life of integrity if you want to get there. And so they start cleaning those things up. I've seen them get more spiritual. I've seen them cut weight, get healthy, that those things tend to show up. Have you seen this?
Oh, I've seen it in ways that, like, you wouldn't even imagine. I had a leader once that one of the things he needed to work on for himself is just his appearance, like how people received him, like visually, right? And he
his wardrobe.
Yeah, he hired a personal shopper who would come and help him wear things that were more professional and more.
This is a new goal of mine, is to have a professional shopper who just comes and buys my things.
I met a professional shopper once. I was like, that job is a dream. But anyways, it's even that, where it's like examples that you wouldn't think of necessarily off the top of your head. Like, he knew, he's like, I need to present a little bit more buttoned up. I know I'm not landing in that way. I didn't care before. Didn't bother me in the slightest bit. It still doesn't bother me personally, but I know where I'm going, like image and the way people see me. actually is important and I need help with this thing. So
Yep.
I'm going to have somebody help me figure that out. Right?
There is a personal growth component where that becomes a really big part of the focus of their lives. And almost, it doesn't like trump the other parts of the business, like working on the business, but they recognize it almost in tandem, that they know that the CEO, the person that is leading this thing, needs to be outstanding. Clayton Mask, who he's opened with a story about, used to always say, he said, "I'm not the leader. My company's going to need 6 months. I'm not the CEO. My company will need 6 months from now." But he said, "But I will be." And he recognized that in order for the business to grow, he had to grow. And that is super, I don't know, it feels preachy, but it's true. And so like whatever version, like when you picture the $10 million version of yourself, not just the $10 million version of the business.
It's great.
Like, it's worth getting clear on that and saying, all right, I understand the $10 million version of myself eats this kind of diet, works out this kind of way, wakes up at this time in the morning, has personal habits. Something I admire about my counterpart, our CEO at the Lawn Care CEO, Aaron Suttonfield, like literally showed up. He's like, "I got this new journal that's like a way of scheduling your life out better, and it comes up with goals, and it's all just about personal development, personal growth." But that's where his head's at. He's like, "I got to get better," and I think that's definitely one of the mindsets, is that personal growth elevates to the level and importance of business growth.
It's really good. I'm glad you added that. It's huge.
Okay. All right. So in summary, profit, not sales.
That's right.
In summary, systems, not problems. In summary,
who, not how.
Who, not how. In summary, team think, not me think.
Ooh, good. Yep.
And then get it right, not just get it done. And then finally, personal growth, not just business growth. Great. We should have come up with those titles at the beginning.
Those were so good. Those are so
all good. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Lawn Care CEO podcast. We love you. We hope you're doing well. And definitely encourage you that as you go on this journey from 1 million to 10 million, those of you who are going to be on the journey from 1 to 10 million, we applaud you. We need you. The world needs good people who are well-resourced with lots of time on their hands. And so go be one of those people. Go be one of those people who is a good person who has a lot of extra time and money to go do good in the world. And so, as always, we'll close by saying, go do more good.